Hi, this is for history class. I'm Noah, as you all know, and this is my grandma, Stock, maiden name Otherton. And I'd like to ask her a few questions today. Like, where were you born?
In Ellisville, Missouri.
When were you born?
In 1960.
Do you know an interesting story or two?
About when I grew up?
Yeah.
Or where?
Yeah.
Okay, I grew up in Pond, which is now called Wildwood. And I lived on a small farm, almost 8 acres, which we used. Mom had a huge vegetable garden, another garden for strawberries, and another one for potatoes, which gave us plenty of potatoes for every meal of the year and some to share. And we had cows most of my life and pigs when I was younger, a dog, a cat. All the animals stayed outside.
Where have you worked?
I used to babysit as a kid, but also as an adult in between teaching, and cleaned houses in college and when I was younger. I worked in a church office, and I taught for about 15 years, and I now work in a business office.
And then you gave birth to my mom.
That's right.
And my uncle.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know when your parents were born?
Yes. My mom was born in 1918, and my father in 1920.
Do you know an interesting story or two about them?
Yes, they both lived on the same street growing up, Strecker Road in Ellisville, both on farms, and they both walked to school, to a one-room school that was called Oak Ridge.
Do you know more about either side of your parents and where they came from?
Yes, my mom's family came from Alsace, which was a small region between France and Germany. And my dad, we think, the Etherton family came from England. We don't know that for sure. And they lived also, I think it was my great-grandfather who had a shop in Pond area, Grover actually, at 100 and Manchester Road. Manchester, which was 100, and Etherton Road. And then another Etherton, I think it was Robert, who had a shop also at Gristmill, and that was on the way to the Missouri River. So we believe that road was called Etherton Road because of the Ethertons who had businesses along it.
Okay, thank you. Any more family history?
Not that I could.
Okay. An interesting story about your family.
Well, one comes to mind right away. My father's sister married my mother's uncle, and at one point they started having family reunions of both of their sides of the family. So for me it was great because I got to see both sides of my family at those family reunions, and still today. I think that started when I was 16, and so yet today the family still every year gets together at a park in Ellisville for a family reunion.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Grandma.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
Likewise.
Hi, people in my history class. This is me, Noah, and my grandpa, Stock, my mom's dad. And I'd like to ask him a few questions today.
Okay.
Like, where were you born?
I was born in St. Louis in 1960, March 24th.
Where did you grow up?
I lived in South St. Louis almost all my life, down by Crowlett Park, which isn't that far from your school, really.
Right. Not far at all. Is there an interesting story or two from your childhood?
Well, I just thought of one that I didn't share earlier. I used to go to Hope School, which isn't very far from where Word of Life is. And I was in 5th grade, and my 6th grade teacher fell on me and broke my arm really bad playing flag football.
Where have you worked?
My first job was at a donut shop making donuts, and that's where I earned money to go to college. And then as an adult, I worked at a company called Apex Metal Finishing, and now at a company called Microfinish. I've been here for about 26 years.
When were your parents born?
They were born. My dad was born in 1938, and my mom was born in 1937. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. My dad was born in 1937, and my mom was born in 1938.
Do you know an interesting story or two about them?
One thing that was kind of funny was the day they got engaged. There's a park that Minnehaha Beach, on the Merrimack River, and they used to have boat rides there. And my mom and dad went to take a boat ride in a canoe, and it flipped over. And my mom started screaming and yelling like she was going to drown, and my dad just told her to be quiet and stand up, and she did, and she was fine.
Right on the Merrimack, right?
On the Merrimack River, right.
Do you know more? Do you know anything about either sides and where they came from?
Yeah. Well, my family grew up mostly in this area. My grandpa, my mom and dad both grew up in St. Louis. They were both born and raised in St. Louis. My dad's parents, his father came from Chamois, Missouri. He had an Indian background, and we think it was Osage. And then my mom's parents came from St. Louis as well, but at one point they came from Indiana. My mom's side was very Irish, and then later on I found out my dad's side was Irish as well. My one grandfather was 100% German, and he was born over in Germany, came over here, served in World War II. In fact, he was in the Air Force and died over in Germany well after the war, but he was in Germany when he died as well.
Any family history or another interesting story about your family?
I was surprised to find out that I always thought I was mostly German than anything else. And then recently I had found out that I had a lot more Irish. I had my grandmother was 100% Irish, and my great-grandmother on the other side of the family was 100% Irish. So I found out I had a lot more Irish in me. So I'm probably 50% Irish, some German, a little English actually, and then Native American.
Thank you. Thank you for this interview. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm here with my grandma, Clark, and I'd like to ask her a few questions today. Like, when and where were you born?
Well, I was born right here in St. Louis, Missouri, on October the 6th, 1952. I was born at the Jewish Hospital, which is, part of the Barnes Hospital complex now.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up here in St. Louis. I lived in the city of St. Louis until the summer after my 7th grade year. We moved to St. Louis County, and that's where I grew up. And now I currently live in Fenton, Missouri.
Okay, So when did you marry Grandpa?
We got married on June the 21st, 1975, and we were married here in St. Louis. We were married at St. Lucas Evangelical Lutheran Church here in South St. Louis.
Okay. When were your parents born, and what's their names?
Okay. My mother's name, her maiden name was Shirley May Feewager, and she married Albert George Dunacek. And they were married here in St. Louis, and they
they lived here the rest of their lives here in St. Louis. Yeah. We're kind of St. Louis people.
Yeah, everyone is in our family. So, do you know any family history or where your family came from?
My grandmother came from Czechoslovakia with her family. They sailed on a boat across the ocean and landed at Ellis Island. And of course, they had to go through all of the protocol, all the screenings and physicals and all the things involved with trying to get into the United States. And happily they made it. And they came with a group of other people, Lutherans from Czechoslovakia, and they came to St. Louis and settled here, and they started St. Lucas Evangelical Lutheran Church here in St. Louis. My grandma was one of the founding members, and the church is still, they've got a different location now from the original one, but St. Lucas is still here. It's on Morgan Ford, right here in South St. Louis.
And it's a partner member in Word of Life Lutheran School, where
Absolutely.
we go to school.
That's right. That's right. And so St. Lucas was where I was, this congregation with which I was baptized and confirmed, and that's where I was married also. So yes, so we have very strong ties to the St. Louis area and the Lutheran Church.
Do you know anything else about the other side of your family?
That was my dad's side of the family. My mom's side of the family, they're basically, I think mostly German background. They say there's a little bit of French there, but I think they're pretty staunch. German. They were not Lutheran, and my mom joined the Lutheran Church after she married my dad. So I've got a lot of European influence in me.
Yeah. Thank you, Grandma.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Hi, this is me and my grandpa Clark.
Hello.
And I'd like to ask him a few questions today. Like, when and where were you born?
Well, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, at the Jewish Hospital down by the Barnes Complex. Okay, and it was on April 8th, 1953, 8:48 in the morning.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a couple of different places, I lived on Oregon. I forget the name of the address. And also, the porch was pretty big because it was for a 4-family flat. So I think, you could go out on the porch in the back and you just shared the porch with the people next door. But there was an older lady on the one side, and she'd call down, and when she baked cookies, and she lowered in a bag, which was funny. Well, I like that because I like sweets, anyway. So that was one fun thing about that place. And then we moved, over closer to River de Pere, in about 1955, I guess. 11 years then we moved out in the county, in Indian Hills South. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So, just what were your parents' names and when were they born?
Okay. I just happen to have this. Great-grandma Clark made this out when I was a little guy. And there's pictures of me there. I'm knitting my eyebrows. But, she don't have her dates of birth. She was born in 1925. And she was born in it was December 17. Yeah, December 17 or December, 7th day of the month or 17th day of the month in 1925. Okay, and then
Did you want to know about Grandpa Clark too?
Yeah.
Yeah, Grandpa Clark was born in 1926 on August 30th, 1926.
Yeah. Is there an interesting story about them?
Yeah. I can tell when, during World War II, Grandpa was, I guess, enlisted. I think he enlisted because everybody was doing it back then. They had the draft, but I think Grandpa enlisted. And he was a flight engineer on a B-17. And because it's close to the end of the war, they needed people to operate the radios on the B-17s also. So he was at San Antonio. I forget the name of the air base, but anyway, Lackland or something. But he came up here to Scott Air Force Base where they're teaching how to operate radios on B-17s. So when he came up here one night, he was up here for months, and one night he was on guard duty, and after he got relieved from guard duty, he went to the PX or whatever, where they had like chocolate malts and stuff like that, soda you can get stuff. So he went there, and there was a dance going on, USO dance. And so Grandpa was out there. He never did get his, like he said, he never did get his chocolate shake. Okay. So because he went and looked on the dance floor to see what was going on, and he seen, his future wife, my mom, Grandma, great-grandma Clark, dancing, and he went up to the guy that was dancing with her, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, "You're dancing with my wife." And the guy, okay, sorry, And then they started dating after that, and I ended up getting married in, I think, 46 or something like that. I forget what date. It's not in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what other questions you have?
So where did you come from? Like,
who?
Oh, so like what countries did you come from?
Oh, my
to
answer?
America.
Oh, okay. Clark. Well, Clark's, it means clerk. It's derived from clerk, but they somehow got changed to Clark. I guess to make it different from Clark. But they came from England. The Clark side family came from England, and they believe which I think right here, Sarsfield was a battle in like Scotland against the British, and this guy named Sarsfield was defending the bridge and not letting the British come across. And the Scots won the battle, so they could be English/Scots because the Scotsman's name was Sarsfield, which he's no relation.
Right.
I think they just named that grandpa after that person in the battle. And then the other ones came from Germany, Wiedner. It looks like Wiener to us, but we call it's Wiedner. And then it was Austin, came from Germany. Their names was Olstein or something like this.
Yeah.
And they were Jewish, and they changed when they came over here. They changed it to Austin, not to appear to be so much Jewish. But my dad was born in L.A. at the time, Los Angeles, and it was in a Jewish ghetto. He was told, So that's what happened here. They changed their name because they're in the United States.
Yeah.
I just wiped my nose.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, is that all I have to do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Howdy, y'all. So I've learned a lot from this project, like I'm actually Osage Indian rather than Cherokee. I also learned that I'm part Jewish. I already knew that, yeah. But it was fun, and I learned a lot. Yeah. See you tomorrow. Bye.